My question is, why do um, the Democrats frequently overlook or attempt to delegitimize contributions of foundational Black Americans, and how can we ensure our voices and impact remain very central in the national discourse that's going on right now?
Phenomenal question. Let me tell you why. That's a great question. Why do they go out of their way to ignore foundational Black Americans? That started with the benign neglect policy from the late 60s, early 70s. They realized in the 60s, when we were fighting for civil rights, they started making promises. They were saying, what we're going to do for the Negroes, we're going to do this for Black folks. And what happened was they didn't do it. So we started turning up. They did the Kerner Commission. They did a whole big book, a big study and a report on that Kerner Commission thing, the Kerner Report. I think that's the name of it. They were trying to figure out why so many riots were happening. I want y'all to understand in the 1960s, foundational Black Americans were turning all the way the hell up in this country. For real, for real. So they had to figure out what was going on. Why are these people turning up like this? So they did a report and they said, okay, well, the problem is racism. And like, yeah. We know that we've been racist, but why now? Why are they turning up now? We've been racist for the last 200 years. Why are they turning up now? And they said, okay, this is what they figured out. They said, okay, y'all making promises. And when you make promises to Black folks and you don't deliver, there's a backlash. We start turning up. So they said, okay, what we need to do, let's just stop making promises to them. And that has kind of worked. That's kind of worked for the last, what, 50 years. So they said, look, if we don't promise them anything, they can't get mad. They can't start rioting and tearing things up if we don't make promises. So what we need to do is have a benign neglect policy. Let's talk around Black people, but let's never talk directly to what we're going to do for them. So that was a strategy that was implemented in the late 60s, early 70s. I want to say it was a guy named Moynihan who was the one who suggested the benign neglect policy. So now, benign neglect means, okay, if we talk about Black folks, we have to make it inclusive with all other groups. So when they say we're going to put something together for minorities, and you put up a picture of a Black person, and then Black folks don't get nothing, and we come back to the table like, hey, man, you promised me something. They're like, yeah, we did something for minorities. Look at all those Mexicans. Yeah, we did do something. We delivered. And then we have to shut up because technically they're telling the truth. See, we've been going for the Jedi mind trick and then they flip it on us. They start talking about black and brown and diversity and all of that. And we've been falling for that nonsense. And they will actually do something for the brown. They will do a diversity, equity, and inclusion program. That don't mean Black. That was the trick bag, ladies and gentlemen, to sit here and create these policies that gives the illusion that it's going to be for Black people. But it was really for other people, and they were delivering for other people. And they would tell us, hey, we did do what we said we were going to do. We do have a diversity program. We do have a minority program. We do have a people of color program. So yeah, we delivered. What are you saying? Because you know the Democrats, they always brag about that type of stuff. When you say, hey man, y'all ain't done nothing for us. Oh, yes, we have. Yes, we have. We have a small minority business program. We gave a whole heap of money to it. We had a diversity, equity, inclusion. We have certainly did do something for the Black community. See, no, you didn't. This was for so-called people of color. So that's why when it comes to talking to us directly, they keep skirting around the issue. And this is why they lost, because we said, we're not playing the benign neglect game. You're going to have to mention us specifically and exclusively. And when I mean us, I'm talking about foundational Black Americans, not just Black, because then y'all can include all of these other groups too. We said not only are you going to mention black people, you're going to be very specific about the black people you're going to mention. You're going to have to do something for foundational black Americans, aka descendants of freedmen. You're going to have to do something specific. You're not going to dance around none of this stuff. And this has got these people on their heels. And this is why the Democrats lost. And now they're trying to regroup. So yeah, it's been up to us. We should have stopped that benign neglect stuff a long time ago. Our great brother, Dr. Claude Anderson, had been telling us for the longest, stop letting them use um, um, those trick words. He's been telling us this for decades. Hey man, all that minority and people of color, y'all got to stop doing that. He's been telling us this. He said, even stop using civil rights, because with other groups, it's like Hispanic rights, Asian rights, Arab rights, LGBT rights. But when it gets to black people, it's civil rights. And he said, who the hell is civil? You know, it gets real vague when it comes to us, which is true. He's been telling us this. When it comes to us, it gets very vague because we're scared to offend people if we speak up specifically for our own needs. Damn that. We got to get off that thing where we're afraid to offend people. We're afraid to be labeled xenophobic if we're just looking out for ourselves, because I've been hearing that at some of these little reparations hearings. Some of these secret Pan-Africans will hop up. Well, if we get talk about reparations and we talk about just reparations for foundational black Americans and freedmen, we got to be careful not to be divisive, because we as all black peoples and Africans and okay, come on, I don't we that's dead, man. All that, we got to include everybody, or we're xenophobic or we're divisive if we ain't sitting here putting the cape on for everybody. No, we have to look out for our group first. We have to look out for our lineage first, just like everybody else. When people come over here, they're looking out for themselves. They're looking out for their ethnic group without any shame. And that's fine. That's fine. And when we do it, it should be fine. I don't want to hear all of that stuff where we're xenophobic when we're doing the same thing y'all been doing. Everybody looks out for their group. Nobody looks out for us. Let's be clear. Nobody includes us in nothing. What do they include us in? They don't include us in a damn thing. And I'm talking about all of these groups. They never include us. When they get a bag, boy, they make sure the door is shut with a padlock on it so we don't touch it. And this is for the African and Caribbeans too. They really double down. When they get a win, let's be real, they go out of their way to differentiate themselves from us. You got people who you didn't even know they were Caribbean or African until they get something popping. Until they get a win, then we start hearing about that ancestry that we didn't know about. Just like with Cheryl Lee Ralph. Now, I knew Cheryl Lee Ralph, and I like Cheryl Lee Ralph. I think she's a phenomenal and a beautiful actor. She's been around for a long time. But when she started winning all of these little Emmys and all of these awards recently, and she's been around since the 70s. Remember, she was on, I think she might have been on an episode of Good Times. I mean, Cheryl Lee Ralph has been around for a long time. But recently, they were talking about Caribbean American Cheryl Lee Ralph, Jamaican American Cheryl Lee Ralph. They weren't saying that. Cheryl Lee Ralph has been like, she was in like, what is that Sidney Poitier, Bill Cosby movie? Let's Do It Again, Piece of the Action, one of the movies. But she's been around for a long time. They weren't saying all that before. But now that she's getting accolades as she's older, now this whole Caribbean thing is out there now. You did fine. That's what we doing. Fine. All right. When we say, okay, shout out to the FBA family, don't come to us talking about we're divisive. It's okay to shout out your ethnic groups. It's okay for us to shout out ours. Right?